All right, my beautiful friends. I hope you're having an amazing Wednesday. We are back and we are ready to go. We've got some serious business to attend to today, a bunch of stuff to unpack here together. Grateful to be doing it with you here on this lovely, lovely midweek day. We have 4 segments. We've got a couple case updates. We've got some assassination stuff, and then we're going to go through the very interesting interview that Trump had there with the black journalists. See how that went. I thought it was incredible. So we'll talk about it. But we're going to start the day off with some assassination updates because we got massive document dumps that have come out from Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley, 2 senators who've been all over the incident in Butler. And so we've got just a load of stuff we'll go through. Chuck Grassley came out and actually released part of the security plan that evidently was terrible. It failed, evidently, massively. And so we're going to go through that. The PDF that shows where the snipers were, where everybody was actually situated on J13, the attack on American democracy. We also have a new timeline that came out from Ron Johnson where he is interspersing and combining all of the different narratives, what the Secret Service said, what the local cops said, what news reports said, and connecting them all together in one unified timeline is very interesting. And so we'll go through that before we get some reaction to what's going on with the assassination stuff. We also then are going to have an update on Alvin Bragg's case. We know Alvin in New York. He is now scrambling. Trump is appealing the Judge Juan Merchan case. This was the 34 counts of false business records incident, and Trump was found guilty of those 34 counts. So he is now appealing that, and Trump's defense has submitted a pre-motion letter saying we need to respond to what Alvin Bragg is alleging in his response. And so we'll read through that because they're just saying Alvin is ignoring all of the main points. And the sentencing, as we know, has already been pushed all the way back. We have a hearing coming up on September 6th. And the question is, how is the immunity decision from the Supreme Court going to impact what Judge Merchan is doing? So all of that is coming up. Then, Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, furious. Obviously, Judge Cannon dismissed that classified documents case there in Florida. And we know that Jack Smith has appealed that. But Merrick Garland is now out going around on the media shows and explaining why he is a smart person. He says, I'm very smart. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't make a mistake so stupid. Because, of course, he is the person who appointed Jack Smith, who, as Judge Cannon found, is illegal and not constitutionally appointed, stole $24 million from a fund that the DOJ has locked away. So we'll go through that, see what he says. That's going to be our Florida update. And then we'll get into that journalist from the National Association of Black Journalists. Woo, man, Trump came out. They delayed him. He was supposed to speak for about an hour, and it was cut short for about 35 minutes because they were delayed. They just kind of were dangling Trump along back there. He was furious. He came out. You invited me. They hit him over the head with a ridiculous question. And then he just laced into him. And a lot of people on the left are saying this is Trump's moment. This is where he's failing. This is his collapsing ordeal where he's there making a fool of himself in front of black Americans. Oh, my gosh. And I don't think so. I don't think that's what happened. I think that the audience actually was enjoying the ridiculousness and enjoying the show. So we'll go through that. A lot of reaction to that was just something that just happened. And then Trump, I think, has a rally that's coming up here in a little bit. So we'll get to it and make sure that we have our business attended to. It's great to see everybody here. Thanks for joining us on this lovely Wednesday. Before we get into anything, we got to make sure we know what the heck is going on out there with bird flu, because it's everywhere. This was an article from the New York Times. See, look at all these birds, sickly birds flying all over the place. They say New York is freaking out over there because they're trying to prepare for bird flu, but they are only relying on a single drug. Oh, no. Said that they got plans there to confront bird flu because it's spreading among people. And they're saying we're going to need a vast stockpile of flu treatment medicine. But experts worry that the stockpile is missing a Tamiflu drug. There's also another antiviral that might work. And so everybody's getting prepared for this thing. Given the uncertainty about how this might evolve and what treatments might ultimately work best, some public health experts worry that they might be relying on a single drug. And so a lot of this stuff is happening all around us all the time. Best thing we can do is be prepared. One way we can do that, our friends over at the Wellness Company. And they have a prescription contagion emergency kit that is filled with a bunch of good stuff in case you need it. It's got other items for COVID, bird flu, respiratory illnesses, whatever's coming through. You're going to see inside, you'll find ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pak, Tamiflu, budesonide, all sorts of good stuff. It's backed by research from experts like Dr. Peter McCullough, and every American should have at least one of these kits at home. I've got mine right here. Looks just like this, and you should grab yours. Very simple to do that. Go over to the link in the description below, twc.health/Robert. Use code Robert. You're going to save money and you're going to get free shipping. And it's great to be prepared. You can just rest assured knowing that you've got that there. So twc.health/Robert. Use code Robert at checkout. And these kits are only available in the USA. And we appreciate you supporting our sponsors and getting prepared. It's a good thing to do. Get prepared. That way you have it in case you need it. All right. So now let's get into business because we have some good stuff. Senators release documents from J13, the attack in Butler, Pennsylvania, including a timeline. Senator Ron Johnson is assembling this. And what's very interesting about this one is that you'll see it's color-coded. And we like colors here. You see text in green is what the media was reporting. Text in blue is from the Secret Service Acting Director Ronald Rutrow's testimony. And then text in brown, or what kind of looks like red to us, looks like an orange here on our screen, is going to be Director Paul Abate's testimony, and then the red, which is clearly red, is going to be the Butler County radio comms. Woo! So they're all being assembled, and we can see what's going on here. So, of course, we're going to go through this and see what's inside. Ron Johnson had a full statement that we'll read through. There's also new video that's come out showing that the gunman was kind of just moseying around the sloped roof up there, and nobody really was able to do anything about it for a long period of time. So we'll watch that video, and then we'll actually look at the Butler detail and looks like the plan, the security plan that failed so epically. You can see it's a 46-pager. It's got details about who was assigned where, and so we're going to go through it and see what's inside. So a bunch of stuff to get to. Let's start with the announcement from Johnson. He is a great senator from Wisconsin, been all over this case. We saw him lacing into the Secret Service and the FBI, saying, we have now released a new timeline, updated since everybody's now testified. The timeline also features radio communications from local law enforcement, as well as media reports, and highlights how law enforcement tracked crooks for 90 minutes. Now, Johnson entered this timeline into record during the hearing, and there Johnson also questioned Ronald Rowe and others. Timeline can be viewed here. Let's do it. So we already know what the colors stand for. Green is the media. Text is from local law enforcement. And then blue is Secret Service. Text in brown is from the FBI. And text in red is radio comms. And so we're going to make sure we keep our eyes on that color legend here because there's a lot to remember there for your boy. So we'll go through this. And here is what happens. Boom, 4:26 p.m. Per media reports, officers first notice and send a text in a group chat about an individual later identified as crooks. Media's reporting that. Law enforcement, we now know. At 5:10, local law enforcement sniper positioned in the American Glass Research Building first spots crooks. LEOs local say AGR Sniper 1 takes 2 pictures of crooks at 5:14. Trump comes out, speaks, and he's shot at 6:11. Let's keep that in mind. Secret Service Ronald Rowe in blue, he reports, according to Secret Service Ronald Rowe, former President Trump arrives at the Butler rally site at 5:30. So he comes on scene. Local law enforcement is already aware there's probably a problem here. Local team says AGR Sniper 1 observes crooks looking at his phone and using a rangefinder 2 minutes after Trump shows up. Then at 5:38, Sniper 1 sends a message to a group of other local law enforcement snipers working the rally about crooks. Hey guys, see this guy with a rangefinder looking at his cell phone, kind of weird. Media supplements that. Says per media reports, AGR Sniper 1 includes the pictures he took of Crooks and a description along with that Crooks was observed using a rangefinder in the direction of the stage. So the media supports that. Local teams say AGR Sniper 1 is told to call into command about Crooks. So he texts him, hey, this guy seems suspicious. Cool. Call it in. Sniper 1 says, okay, I'll do it. 541, he copies and pastes, sends, hey, guys, there's this weird dude with a shirt on. He's using a rangefinder and he's on his cell phone. At least looks suspicious. Sends that in over the radio. All this stuff is being footnoted by Senator Johnston. We continue. Local reports tell us a sniper with Butler County sends the images and the description at 5:45, way before Trump ever came out, given by AGR Sniper 1 of Crooks to one of the Secret Service counter snipers at the rally. Okay, so local sniper sends to Secret Service sniper, including that Crooks was using a rangefinder. The Secret Service counter sniper responds, Roger, all notified teams on AGR side. Oh, so the Secret Service did have a team over there on the Secret Service side. Huh. So Secret Service knew that there was a suspicious suspect at 5:45 at the latest. Maybe even earlier. Now, which is way before they even brought Trump out. Trump came out at 6:03 per the media reports. When Ronald Rutro testified, he confirmed that the Butler County sniper sends the Secret Service counter sniper team leader a text with the images and description of Crooks. So that seems like, yep, they knew about it at 5:45. Now, according to Director Rowe at 5:53, the Secret Service counter sniper team leader emails the Secret Service counter sniper teams and says local law enforcement is looking for a suspicious individual outside the perimeter lurking around the AGR building. Again, Secret Service has another attempt. Oh, 5:53, 10 minutes before Trump comes out. 10 minutes, which is like an eternity. Okay, when you're talking about bullets and security, it's like it's like a month. 10 minutes. You ever see that show 24? That's like 25% of the whole episode. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. So they see he's lurking around. Secret Service says, well, whatever. Is it okay to bring out the former president? Yeah. I mean, we don't know where that guy is and whatever. So yeah, let him go. 6:06, according to the FBI, Paul Abate, video shows Crooks at 6:06 pulling himself onto the AGR building rooftop. 6:06, man, that clock is ticking. A local law enforcement officer reports over the radio that there is someone on the roof of the AGR building. At 6:08, 20 seconds. Now, this is where we were getting very granular. 6:08 and 20 seconds. Huh. Because the bullet apparently gets fired at 6:11. Now, let's work backwards from 6:11. So about 90 seconds. Let's see. So local law enforcement at 6:08:20, 12 seconds go by. A local law enforcement officer reports there's an individual on the roof of the building wearing white shorts. And we're trying to keep our eyes on for when the guy pulled himself up and fell off the roof and injured himself. So then we have this little from 6:10 to 6:04. So we've got some overlapping timeline stuff here. I'm sorry, to 6:10:19, 6:10:04 to 6:10:19. So just a few seconds is right what's happening here. A rally goer records a video that appears to show Crooks on the roof of the building. In the video, a person can be heard trying to get an officer's attention, and another person says he's on the roof right there. So there's just a window right before the shots are fired. 6:11, according to media reports, at 6:11, okay, Crooks points his rifle at a local officer who's boosted onto the roof. The officer falls off the roof. Deputy Abate from the FBI confirms this point as well. So 6:11. So it was like right then. So we had some real big questions about that. Because you would imagine the guy falls off the roof, calls it in. But we already know that a lot of this was already called. Like, when did they see the rifle? Like, specifically, when did the first person see a rifle? I think as this timeline tells us, it might be this, right? Like at this moment, Crooks points his rifle. So a rally goer appears to show he's on the roof but no rifle. Local law enforcement, individual on the roof. There's a roof over, someone on the roof. But they also know it's a suspicious individual, probably, because they see his shirts, and they should have been following him. So it's very interesting. So this happened very quickly, okay? And maybe that adds some credibility to the story, why he missed. He had to hurry the shots. Or if you're a second shooter theory person, why one shooter missed or didn't shoot, right? If there were two shooters, maybe they were supposed to time the shot later, but one was hurried, shot first, so the second shooter didn't shoot or something. Now, a local law enforcement officer, okay, let's back up. At 6:11, so the FBI and the Secret Service are now confirming this. So FBI says at 6:11, shooter points at the officer, guy falls off the roof, then he realigns with Trump, fires. All in like seconds. This must be like 30 seconds. Okay, like 60 seconds. Very fast. Over here, guy falls, he's over, starts sending them down. Now, according to Director Rowe from the Secret Service, a member of Trump's protective detail contacted their Pittsburgh field office to inquire about the radio update that there was an issue local law enforcement was looking into near the perimeter. So Secret Service, they did call at 6:11. First shot fired at 6:11:33. So we're about 30 seconds into the 6:11 minute. At 6:11:03 seconds, a local law enforcement officer reports over the radio that the individual on the roof is armed and laying down. Local cop at 6:03. So that's 30 seconds. Not a lot of time. Over the radio that the individual on the roof is armed and laying down. And I'd like to know where that officer was. Like, how did he see that? Where was that cop? According to FBI Director Deputy Abate, the officer who reports this is the same local police officer who was boosted on the roof. Okay, so as we suspected, the guy pulls himself up. He's got a friggin' gun up there. Falls down. He's got a gun. He's got a gun. There's a guy on the roof. He's got a gun. He's laying down. Okay, that cop calls it in. Probably saved lives that day. A lot. So hero right there. Holy crap, right? Calls it in. 6:03. A local law enforcement, 8 seconds later at 6:11:11, a local law enforcement officer reports over the radio that the individual on the roof is armed with a long gun. Okay, so now everybody's freaked out. Like 8 seconds have gone by. We have about 20 seconds later, a local law enforcement officer reports over the radio, shots fired at 6:11:33. Media reports, first shot fired, 6:11:33. All right, so now let's back that up. So we just bought ourselves another 30 seconds or so. So the first report of a firearm, probably 6:11. This is according to them, like 6:11:0. Media reports at 6:11:0. Right, so it's 30 seconds until they see the rifle. So 6:11:34, 1 second elapses, 2 more shots fired. So boom, boom, boom. Right, we heard the 3 consecutive. 37, according to media reports, additional gunshots are fired. That's the second batch of 5. At 6:11:40 seconds, local enforcement officer reports over the radio, lock down all roads, lock everything down. Local cops respond. At 6:11:52, according to media, 1 final gunshot is heard. Is that the sniper counter shot, the counter sniper kill shot? Then at 6:11:52 p.m., an alert tone is sent over multiple radio channels. At 6:11:57, an emergency traffic only announcement sent over multiple radios. Local law enforcement officer reports just seconds later over the radio that the shooter is down. Okay, at 6:12:11. So maybe that is the final gunshot that took him out, obviously. So 6:11:52. Then they confirm just 20 seconds later. Okay, got him. Command confirms receipt of the radio report that the shooter is down. Sheriff's officer reports on the radio, shooter is down. Okay, so it's interesting. The sheriffs had their comms. They got comms log. Local cops have comms logs. Secret Service doesn't have anything. I wonder why that is. So very interesting report here. And my gosh, that was a lot. It was very quick. And so you can see, and that cop may have boosted himself up like right into the line of sight there. with the other, with the shooter. So very, very interesting timeline. So thank you to Senator Johnson for bringing that out for us. Now we also have more, because here's a video of what that ultimately looked like, that timeline. Here is from the person who was ultimately shot. James Copenhaver released this video. It's his point of view showing the gunman on the roof seconds before he opened fire. So he was actually shot twice, critically wounded during this assassination attempt, and we're going to watch him just mosey across here on the roof. Everybody could see him, crowd could see him. There he is, right up there. Looks like he's walking. Looks like he's walking across the roof right there, pokes his head up. Just arming up right there. You can see him just arming up. It's absolutely crazy how they've done that. Let's watch that one more time. And then pops right up there again. All right, so very, very interesting. We can't see why the other Secret Service or the local snipers couldn't have eyes on him. But fortunately, we have this report. So this is what came out from Senator Chuck Grassley. This is the Butler ESU detail. And it looks like it is a plan from the local law enforcement. In fact, that's exactly what it is. Butler County ESU, they host a briefing for local law enforcement ahead of the Trump event. Now, Secret Service was not there when they went through this plan. This is from Chuck Grassley. He's a senator from Iowa, and he's given us a bunch of documents here. So the first one that we'll take a look at is this plan from the briefing. You see the location was in Butler, Pennsylvania. Here is the area of operation according to the document. Everybody showed up to be here except the Secret Service. Now, what's curious about this is it looks like the AGR building, which is here with the shooter about this location. Apparently, these were Beaver ESU sniper teams, right? Which is what the Secret Service said. And in fact, Ronald Rowe, he also told us, why didn't they look to their left? What happened to them? Right? The Secret Service was not in this building, evidently, or not in control of this area. So if this sniper is looking this direction and this sniper is looking this direction, nobody's covering this roof. Who's responsible for the security and making sure everything's covered? Well, I'd say the Secret Service is. So why didn't he look left? I don't know. Maybe you should have gone to the briefing and told him to look left, because you guys couldn't cover it. That would have been a good idea. Maybe they were suspecting that they didn't need to look left because you had Secret Service right here, dummy, and right here, idiots. So they should have been able to see this direction. Okay, now the Secret Service is blaming the local cops on it, and it's disgusting and reprehensible. So maybe if they would have shown up and said, no, your perimeter is this whole entire roof, so you got to look this way, okay? So you watch this way, you over here, and then they would have said, well, we don't have this covered, or we don't have this covered. Maybe we should get it covered. Or maybe they just wanted it to be uncovered. So the Secret Service sniper teams were over here. You can see Washington SWAT on this building, Butler ESU covering this building. We got Butler County Hazmat stationed over here, FOP, Butler County CP, Beaver ESU located down here, EMS station, Secret Service posted up over here. Everything's pretty secured on that other end. Butler PD, get up the back end over here. But this whole perimeter was apparently just excluded from the Secret Service. They just said, can you guys post up over there? And then didn't even show up for the briefing. So this is what Johnson and Grassley have shared with us. Let's see what the rest of the presentation looked like. It said, all right, Republican president candidate Trump is there making a campaign visit. Here's the mission. Butler County ESU is tasked with the following. So local teams, 2 counter assault teams, QRF teams, quick reaction, and counter sniper teams. Say, here's the execution. All right, Secret Service apparently never showed up for this. Team 400 will rally at the farm show grounds at 900 hours. Team 400 will also be assisted by elements of Washington County SWAT, Beaver County ESU. And the plan brief will begin at 09:15. Once completed, elements will move to their farm show location. So here's the timeline, okay? At 9:15 in the morning, they're going to have an operational brief. At 11 o'clock, command post operational, sniper positions occupied, counter assault teams in positions, QRF teams also in position by 11. At 1 o'clock, gates open to the public. Then 2 hours later, candidate arrives at the airport. At 16:20, the motorcade arrives. Trump speaks for 75 minutes from 1700 to 8:15. The motorcade leaves at 8:15. Then upon departure, teams can stand down. Then there's going to be an accountability check, and we'll get this handled. Now, location, Butler County ESU counter assault team and QRF teams. So here is just a screenshot, aerial photograph of where the Butler ESU will be, QRF team and the CAT team here, right behind. Trump was speaking in this location. So nothing on the AGR building is mentioned in that photo. Location of the ESU counter assault team. Okay, so they're just going to show us where everything is. Counter assault team needs 6 operators. This is a team dedicated to responding to a coordinated attack on Trump. Okay, so they've got 6 dudes. It's kind of scary that now they kind of know. All right, it's like 6 dudes. Okay, so like the terrorists will come back, or Antifa or whatever, with more than that. And actually, they don't even need that many people. They just need one dude who can walk on a roof, but whatever. Beaver County also has 6 operators. So it's another, so ESU, so it looks like 12 dudes, dedicated to another coordinated attack. So 2 teams of 6. QRF team has another 4 to 6 people. Members are to report all sightings of drones to CP. Members may be requested to assist in recovery of those said drones, except Secret Service didn't really care about any of that. Now, here's the execution. Check this out, all right? This is where there was a major problem. Watch this. And Chuck Grassley already released this. Says sectors order per importance. Sector 1 is the main stage and the audience. All of these sectors are listed, but none of them include the AGR building, which is right up here. Not even in the photo. Maybe if the Secret Service had shown up to the briefing, then they could have participated in understanding why that should be covered. Wasn't even in there. Somebody could have talked about it. Now, here are the execution of the sniper elements. So we're going to have Butler, Beaver, Washington at these locations. So Butler's down here. Butler hazmat's over here. Secret Service, barn roof, top behind the main stage will be back here. And Hercules call signs. Got it. Who's doing administration and logistics, or what do we have? We got Beaver, Bearcat, counter assault, 2 sniper teams, counter assault team, another sniper team, and so on. Here are the vehicles. Here are the county codes, radio procedures. This is how they work. Here are the administration and logistics, redacted. Command and control. This is how it'll work. These are all the people listed on the team. Here are the people on the personnel teams, redacted. Here's the personnel, redacted. Now, we notice here we've got some, looks like Secret Service counter sniper, Secret Service lead, Secret Service CAT team. All these individuals also listed on this communications list. Here are the personnel listed. Various contingencies. Here's what they're planning for. It's an interesting font choice right here. Says attack on the event if there's multiple actors, an assault on former President Trump, or if there's a single or active attack or an event. Here are the contingencies. Response will be quick, neutralize the threat. If there's attack with multiple actors, each counter assault team hold their area of responsibility. Just guard your location. Make sure we can respond to a secondary attack. Secret Service counter assault will handle the evacuation, so local cops just secure the premises. If they deploy chemical munitions, we might deploy chemical emissions, not them. And this is how we'll do it. Post-operation, this is the plan. Here's our use of force policy. Here's the level of force. Let's read this. Because I wonder, members shall only use the amount of force which is reasonable to effect an arrest. Let's see. Policy to make sure we only use force that is reasonable. Got it. Here's deadly force. Like, could the local cops have shot this shooter? Or did they need him to shoot first? Local cops, deadly force. When it is necessary for an officer to intentionally use a firearm or other instrument, the member shall exercise the utmost caution to avoid endangering innocent persons. Great. All uses of deadly force must be objectively reasonable based upon the totality of the circumstances surrounding its use. parameters for use of less lethal force, use of control devices, kinetic and impact. Let's see. Smoke grenades. All right, so here's another aerial photo. So they are going to put 2 local sniper teams on the top of those roofs, but it wasn't included in this other image. It's such a weird thing. It looks like this is kind of an afterthought. I'm like, well, we'll just put them up over there. But they're not securing the rest of this perimeter. And this is the fencing here where everybody was just standing watching the rally. Another aerial photo there. Again, this entire sector is just omitted, not even considered. Here's the team. A lot of people there. Now, this was another curious one. Counter UAS, a drone operator. And they apparently were not actually using a drone. Wonder why that is. So counter sniper teams, that's the doc drop. Now, Grassley also released a bunch of other stuff. We have local sniper locations. We've got text messages. These were the assignments that were being dropped from Chuck Grassley. These were the text messages that went around. And so there's a bunch of this. A lot of it's redacted, kind of hard to read through it. But here you can see they're just saying, hey, listen, hey, this is the crew for Saturday. The plan is to leave hazmat. I'm going to bring a cooler, but get something to eat, okay? Butler talked about getting some pizzas, but, you know, it might sit heavy in the heat. So get prepared. Copy, I'll be driving. Here's the location. Here's the timeline of events. We read through a lot of that. Somebody took a picture of it. And so they're getting all the materials. Now, it's interesting to me that we have text messages, because what happens a lot is that the Secret Service just deletes them. And we don't really know where they go mysteriously all the time. So those were one set of texts. Here is another angle. So this is kind of what the snipers were planning for, right? So this sniper says, okay, I've gone up into this window and I can look out this direction. That's all I can see. If I'm in this window, I'm going to cover this area. And if I'm in this area, this sniper, I'm covering this area, right? So this is what they're talking about. Now, the Secret Service director, Ronald Rowe, came out and blamed them for this. He was saying, why didn't Green, literally came out, he got a poster board, cost him a ton of money. They spent a lot of time on it, way more time than they even spent showing up at Secret Service briefings. And they said, why didn't they just look left? Why didn't he just look over here? Well, they talked about it. I don't know. They were at their briefing, and this is how they split up the pie. Probably because they presumed that you guys were covering it from another angle. And you weren't. And so that's a different angle. Here is, wow, okay, so look at this. This is curious. So they actually had this posted up. And this is a little bit of a different angle, so it's hard to get our orientation on it. But this is where the snipers were located. All right, so this is what they had on, looks like what they had on their wall, posted up on their wall. This was a sniper location. And it looks like he's on the first floor, not on the second floor. It looks like he might be on the ground level there. So he's posted up. This is the barn where the snipers were on. Trump is speaking right about here. Off to the left of the screen is where the AGR building is. And so they have this location. I'd like to see a closer up of the window. Okay, there we go. It looks like they're on the ground floor. Okay, maybe that guy looks like he's on the second floor. But this is what he can see. Now, if you go to the other side of that, could he see on the roof? This guy, it looks like it's hard to tell what floor he's on. Maybe it's a hill going up. Might be going down and up. I don't know. So theoretically, they're on the second floor. I think they're supposed to be on the second floor. But even looking out that window, like this window, right, you're not getting a nice overview of that roof over there. So you're not that high at all. This one looks like it's probably on the second floor because he is looking out the window, looking down upon the people. That's a lot more believable. So another interesting set of photographs. And the Secret Service, had they been there, then they could have advised about who is covering what. That's why you have those meetings. So here's one that happened at 1:03. Okay, I added you to the group. Okay, RGR here. All right, Secret Service counter sniper team will be heading to the grandstands to meet up with us in a couple of minutes at 1:45. They will be approaching from the Beaver Armor side of the grounds. Copy, copy. All right, disregard. Looks like they're coming from Washington. Okay, all good. Yeah, everyone all good? We're good. All good. WR Sierra is good. Good. All right, just got a report. Blank is about an hour behind. Facepalm. Freaking guy. Always late. All right, this guy's out. 419. Guys, I'm out. Be safe. He had to leave. He had to bail out of there. Be safe. 10-4. Thanks for the assistance today. Be safe. 534 comes around. Game time. I don't know what the heck that was in reference to, but that was there. So here is a red picnic table. Purple point of the ESU entry is where the ESU entered the building. It looks like this is a picnic table that was on the scene. We also had some more text messages. This was from one sniper who was leaving. He says, hey, okay, he left at 412. Hey, I'm out of here, guys. See ya. Says someone followed our lead and snuck in and parked by our cars, just so you know. And that's the shooter, Crooks. Now, I'm just letting you know because you see me go out with my rifle and put in my car, so he knows you guys are up there. He's sitting in the direct right on a picnic table about 50 yards from the exit. And that's exactly where this is. Okay, so this is that other angle. So Crooks was seated right there. So he leaves, goes out his car. He walks out of this front door. He's like, hey, there's this weird dude over here. What is that? Just letting you guys know. They say, okay, roger that. Roger that. That bike was not there when I pulled out. Maybe have them check that car. Okay, so this sniper is like, he knows, man. He's got the spidey sense cooking. He can tell something's a little bit strange. And so we have this other, let's see, we had another one or two from Grassley. Now this is the photo, and then we have an after action report. So let's take a look at these. So here were the photos. Okay, looks like they're on iPhones. He sends these photos from that second floor, looking down. Says, all right, this guy's looking weird. I don't know what that bike and that backpack is. This dude is looking weird. He's on his phone. He's got a rangefinder. 545, 545. Sends another one. If you want to send this to whoever at command, if you have the cell number, he says, yeah, I got it. Okay, sent. 551. Trump hasn't come out yet. Okay, sent. Strange. All right, they're asking for a direction of travel. Not sure. If he was up against the building, he was up against the building. If I had to guess, towards the back, away from the event, if I had to guess. No, on the roof, unfortunately. And so here is what happened after action. These are materials provided by Butler Command. After action report. Here's a timeline posted by Senator Chuck Grassley. We see here 1734, Butler County texts the Butler team, assumed. Blank sends a text to a group text. Response to blank, call it into command. Called it into command, 1741. Said, yep, 4 Sierra 2 to command. Communicated description and rangefinder lurking around the AGR building. Text was sent to the Beaver group about the suspect. Says send that back to command. And remember, they're both paired up. They're Secret Service and local cops in the same building. Blank communication to blank regarding suspect in pictures. 1755. Blank acknowledges receipt. Says, yep, going to give it up to the command. Blank to blank sent to command asking for direction of travel. Unsure of direction of travel. Approximately at so-and-so at picnic tables. He has a backpack, was communicated via radio. Then from 1806 to 812, blank goes downstairs. Now, who is that? Blank to blank, don't know where he went. So for about 6 minutes, blank goes downstairs of building 1 to meet patrol. Let them know suspect is around the building on the side of the fairgrounds. One marked vehicle and unmarked vehicle pull in together. Boom, shots fired. Unknown amount of time comes out, shooters down. 1823, blank and blank climb a black tactical ladder to the L of the building 3 door to access the roof. 1825, shooters pronounced dead by blank. 1825, general clearing by Beaver County with other agencies of the surrounding buildings. They clear everything out. DOA photo sent by blank to blank and blank. Blank sends confirmation to the command to confirm he's dead. Blank also from Washington County pats the suspect down, finds a cell phone and a device. Cell phone and remote are found there later. Device and the face were sent to blank, number provided by end of day. Blank was sent the phone number, and then the facial recognition photo was sent by blank to blank. Okay, all redacted, name's gone. So here is more of the after action. Looks like in red we had a crowd control fence. There was crowd screening here, another crowd control. Now this was the Beaver sniper line of sight. All right, so they're telling the Secret Service, yo, we couldn't see this roof. It's not our job to cover that roof. We were over here. This is what we had. This was a BCESU sniper. Look in this direction. Chain link fence. Then there was a Secret Service Hercules sniper. Secret Service Hercules sniper, presumably covering this roof. Butler ESU QRF team. Butler command post. Butler hazmat. ESU's over here. Trump is speaking here on the stage, as we know. HSI. Everybody else is all scattered around. So at 17:10, so at 5:10, the suspect was first spotted at this corner, Crooks. Then we have the BCESU sniper was right here. The Butler County sniper is here. And we have the photographs taken at 17:14. The bike and the backpack were located over here at 17:32. At 18:05, the suspect was noted at the picnic table. And yes, and this is probably where they exited maybe the building, or actually this direction, to walk out into the parking lot. Says, hey, I think maybe over here, he says he's sitting at a picnic table. They're still here in that corner. Bicycle in the backpack is now over here. Uniform patrol meets at 1806 and 1811. And it looks like there is another sniper who's also maybe trying to meet over here. The Butler County sniper is also still in that room. They say shots fired 1812, more like 1811. That happens. Then the Beaver County line of sight is here. Suspect's location is up here. Marked and unmarked vehicles now scrambling into the parking lot. Suspect goes down here. When the suspect goes down, we had a BCESU sniper over here in building 4. We had the same sniper in building 2. Don't know if he could see them, right? Don't think this sniper took the shot. It was somebody else on the other. It was a Secret Service sniper who took that shot. Uniform patrol meets. And we also saw the video. People were actually basically hunkered down right here, filming all of it happening. So-and-so and so-and-so make access to the roof. Find the bicycle in the backpack. Suspect is dead here. Sniper returns back to this location. Here are some photographs that we've seen. Here's the detonator, 9-volt battery tucked inside there. Apparently they were off when they were. Facial recognition photo, redacted, bloodied all over the place, no doubt. And you can see overall, this is where we thought. We had a main ladder to the roof after the incident. We had a black tactical ladder over here. We had a uniform patrol meeting over here, suspect down, and so on. So that's the after action report. A lot of that came out from Chuck Grassley and from the local cops. The question is, where's all the information from the Secret Service? Probably in the shredder with the rest of the January 6th evidence that they all deleted. So very curious, very interesting to see how close in time all of this happened. And we're going to be here continuing to cover this. We know that Abate and Ronald Rowe promised a bunch more documents after that testimony in Congress, and we're going to be here continuing to cover it, my friends. Soon as it drops, we'll go through it. Thanks for covering it with us. Thanks for subscribing to our channel and joining us. We'll see you back here on the next one. Now, we're not done yet. We're continuing on because we've got some other case updates that we need to jump into, and we'll do them relatively quickly because they're, not major updates, but they are important. And so let's go through what's happening in New York first, because it involves Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg and the prosecutors in New York are scrambling to try to salvage their case. They know that Trump is appealing what happened in Judge Mercan's courtroom because, well, Trump declared immunity. He said that I am invoking my constitutional right that has been functionally available for every other president over the last 234 years. Like them, I'm immune from these types of claims. And the judge didn't even listen to those, just said, well, your objection is noted. We'll deal with it later. SCOTUS came down, said, you're wrong, Merchan. Now they're panicked. Alvin Bragg is replying to Trump's appeal, saying that Trump is out of time. He didn't preserve this enough. And Trump's people are replying back, telling them that, listen, Judge Merchan, we are now seeking your permission. Remember that Judge Merchan is not allowing them to actually file anything publicly on the docket. I mean, he is, but he doesn't want big ranting motions. So he just says, you can just like write a sticky note and then I'll read it and then I'll let you know. So that's what Trump is doing here. But Trump is responding to Alvin Bragg's other filing, which looks like this, which is a big memo. And in Bragg's response, he says that Trump's motion here is untimely right now. He said that Trump didn't object to this immunity stuff at trial. No, he definitely did. He's saying that this decision in the Trump immunity case of the Supreme Court isn't applicable here. It definitely is. And so we see that we expect usually very little from Alvin Bragg, but we get a lot of that. So he's going to walk us through Trump's tweets. He's going to say that, look, the tweets aren't immune. Hope Hicks' testimonies, not immune. The Office of Government Ethics in that form, not immune. Madeleine Westerhout's testimony, not immune. We're going to say, yes, it all is. And it all must be precluded. Madeleine Westerhout was Oval Office communications person. I'm sorry, operations person. Hope Hicks was communications. Cohen's testimony about the FEC investigations, Alvin Bragg is going to say it's all not official business. It's all not relevant. And even if it was official business, we could get rid of it anyways, and it's harmless error, okay? We can just say it doesn't matter. We could have gone to the same conclusion even if we didn't include this evidence. So like the jury could have come to the same verdict even if we never mentioned Trump's tweets or Hope Hicks' testimony or any of those things. And saying that Trump is just wrong and it's meritless. And so we're going to skip a lot of Alvin Bragg's just enjoyment of himself and jump into Trump's reply. Now, we're going to see if Merchan gives him the opportunity to file a full response here. But here is what they said in their permission slip filing. They tell the judge, Honorable Juan Merchan, they say, Your Honor, all right, we respectfully submit this pre-motion letter, reiterating our request to file a reply to that garbage that Bragg just submitted to you. They say, first of all, Bragg did not address the request in their July 24th opposition filing, and a reply submission not to exceed 30 pages is warranted here. And so similar to Bragg's misguided and inaccurate assertions to the court that a previous motion was untimely, wrong, which they still make no effort to defend. He's saying, so they were wrong about that. They said, you can't file this. I said, we can. Here's the rule. And now they're like, oh, well, I guess you can. And so he's rubbing their nose in it on this one. Saying Bragg's July 24th filing contains several legal and factual misrepresentations that invites further error with respect to the historic issues of first impression that the court must address. And so we are constrained by this page restriction, Judge. And so we're going to give you just a few examples and we'll come back later to fill it in if you give us permission. They say, all right, so Alvin Bragg says that we didn't preserve this, that we didn't say objection, immunity enough. Yeah, we did. We've made it repeatedly over the course of the trial. Trump's team says, listen, Judge, look, as to preservation, okay, President Trump objected to the admission of the challenged evidence prior to and during the trial. In response to a trial objection specifically, the court responded verbatim in the transcripts. Thank God it's recorded. He said, I ruled on this. The judge said, the objection is noted. The judge said, I don't think you need to object as to each question. Okay, shut up. I got it. And then Bragg says, you didn't object? Yes, you did. Multiple times. We covered it here at length. So Bragg self-servingly attributes a non-immunity basis for Trump's subsequent trial objection to Twitter evidence. Now, that inaccurate speculation is no basis to deny Trump relief, however, in light of the court's prohibition on speaking objections, because we couldn't even explain ourselves. So Bragg can't know what the basis of our objection was because you told us we can't explain it. So in urging otherwise, Bragg relies on this case, but that case is bad. On the contrary, in fact, the Court of Appeals, the preservation reasoning focused on the fact that the appellate record is inadequate to fairly assess the merits. But that cannot be said here, as the court had and still has the opportunity to address the objections and to engage in fact-finding. They also tell us that Bragg completely ignores the significance of the take care clause as a constitutional basis of authority for President Trump's official acts, including evidence of his actions with his comms director at the White House about investigations that had impeded his ability to devote his full attention to his official duties. And guess what? The take care clause says that the president may discuss potential investigations and prosecutions with his attorney general and other Justice Department officials so he can carry out his duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Right? He's got an obligation, and sometimes he has to address these things, right? The president is a human being that has to address these things. So they say they haven't shown why that doesn't count. And so compounding that error, Alvin Bragg contends that Trump lacked supervisory authority over the FEC. Now, to the contrary, it's ridiculous. The FEC is clearly an executive branch agency that Trump oversaw pursuant to his authority. He has the executive vesting clause powers. He bears responsibility for all the agencies. Courts have already said that. And so Bragg also mischaracterizes their evidence relating to FEC inquiries, saying Trump is trying to interfere with investigations, but that's not true at all. That false claim requires exactly the type of motive inquiry that the Supreme Court has already forbidden, Alvin. You can't look into the motive, because if you look into somebody's motive, guess what? The person who's looking into the motive is always going to find they did something wrong. You're never going to, oh, well, I think he was being honest. If he was, then you can't prosecute him. Now, as to the unavailability of harmless error analysis, Bragg unsuccessfully strains to draw parallels to qualified privileges and non-structural constitutional errors. Such review is an inadequate safeguard for a peculiarly disruptive president immunity error and therefore unavailable, citing Trump. And so for all of these reasons, Judge Merchan, we ask you to authorize a 30-page reply submission to provide President Trump with a complete opportunity to address the inaccuracies that Bragg seeks to press on this court in his desperate attempt to counter Trump's argument for a total dismissal of the lawless indictment and a vacatur of the jury's flawed and unjust verdicts. Signed by Todd Blanche, shout out, and Emil Bove at Blanche Law. Great filing, and we're looking forward to seeing the full brief, 30 pages, nuking Alvin Bragg's ridiculous claims. They had evidence in this of all sorts of White House official business. They had Hope Hicks, who was the White House comms director, come in and testify. They had Michael Cohen, who was even admitted and on the stand that he did work for the White House as White House counsel, right? He did some work for Trump. In 2017, got paid for it. All official. Or at least it's arguably official. And the judge never even considered it. So we're very much looking forward to where this goes. And they are unhappy about it. And in fact, we also have another update on this one. Remember that they're scheduling sentencing for September 18th at 10 a.m. There's going to be an off-calendar decision about all this immunity stuff on September 6th. And the question is, are we going to have sentencing at all? If it's still necessary, says the judge. We don't even know. So we're going to come back on September 18th, but the process continues nonetheless. Trump, as a convicted person, according to many, now I would make an argument that the conviction is not, it's not a reportable offense like on your criminal record as a practical matter until you have sentencing. Okay, we've already talked about this. But here, they're explaining, right, he's got to go through this process and basically be prepared to be sentenced. And part of that is meeting with probation. And so the judge is now allowing Trump and his attorney to meet with the probation officer. So here is what Judge Juan Merchan has ruled upon. says, for the reasons stated in the letter application, it is hereby ordered that Mr. Blanche is permitted to be present during the pre-sentence investigation interview of Trump in this case. And so that was signed some time ago, but I think that just made the public docket. No conditions of the interview have been described, but we now know that that is allowed to happen. So that's very curious and good news. Now, the other thing that's happening in New York is it looks like the E. Jean Carroll appeal is moving forward, and this will also have a court date around the same time. In fact, exactly the same time. The argument is going to be taking place Friday, September 6th at 10 a.m. This is the E. Jean Carroll case, the grab him by the Bergdorf in the Bergdorf dressing room. I got Bergdorf by Bergdorf. Okay. So we're going to have oral arguments on this. Looks like 10 minutes per side on this, 10 a.m. Friday on September 6th, which will be a great day indeed. And so we'll be here covering that. That is our Trump update on what's going on in New York. All right, now let's turn our attention over to what's happening in Florida, because they are unhappy about this, and boy, are they unhappy about it. Let's see what's cooking over there in Florida. Jack Smith's Florida case stuck. Merrick Garland very unhappy about it. You can see this is what they are expecting. Months more of delay for Jack Smith's documents case. We know it was already dismissed by Judge Cannon, but now they're appealing it. In fact, Jack Smith has submitted his notice of appeal into the 11th Circuit. Looks like this came from Jay Bratt, the Florida Oompa Loompa, clocking in at 4'7", says the United States hereby gives notice that it appeals to the 11th Circuit. And the 11th Circuit has come out and scheduled a briefing notice deadline. They've said that pursuant to the 11th Circuit, Jack, your brief is due on August 27th. So Jack's appealing this. He's going to drop his big memo. The appendix due shortly thereafter. The appellee's brief, which will be Trump, he's responding to the appeal. He won. Is going to be due 30 days after there. So looking like September 27th or so. And then Jack's brief will be due 3 weeks later, 21 days in reply. And so that's going to put us well into October. All right. So even if Judge Cannon gets overruled and this case comes back in, they're not doing anything before the election, because that's going to put us right into October. So Jack Smith having a hard time. Politico is noting that as well. Florida classified documents case looks pretty much dead on arrival. In an exclusive interview, Merrick Garland is whining about this over at NBC. He explains, I'm super smart. Okay, well then why did you appoint someone who is illegal to lead two very important cases according to your office? Talking about Jack Smith, here's Merrick.
Judge Eileen Cannon ruled that the way the Justice Department has been picking special counsels for decades is illegal, unconstitutional. Why do you disagree with that?
Look, as you well know, I picked this room for this interview. This is my favorite room in the Justice Department. It's a law library. For more than 20 years, I was a federal judge. Do I look like somebody who would make that basic mistake about the law? I don't think so.
Yes, you do.
Our position is that it's constitutional and valid. That's why we appealed. I will say that this is the same process of appointing special counsel as was followed in the previous administration.
Doesn't matter.
Special counsel Durham and special counsel Mueller in multiple special counsels over the decades, going back to Watergate and the special prosecutor in that case. Till now, every single court, including the Supreme Court, that has considered the legality of a special counsel appointment has upheld it.
Wrong, liar. So, in fact, the Supreme Court hasn't really considered it. There was some dicta in that one case that doesn't even really matter, because that wasn't the issue in that case. It was just kind of some dicta. And the fact is that other special counsels were U.S. attorneys. So yeah, other special counsels have been appointed. That's true. And you might even make the argument that they were valid under the regulations and the statutes that they cobbled together. But they have cobbled together the statutes and they've applied them to Jack Smith, who was never a U.S. attorney at all. Never appointed by the president or confirmed by the Senate. And so it's not the same thing. Look at his little smug face. Hey, dude, just because you're sitting in a law library doesn't mean you know the law. it was obvious from the beginning that Judge Cannon was right on this issue. The fact that she had the courage to actually rule the way she did is outstanding, but it's going to work its way up because this is rigged, and they know it's rigged. They did it for this reason, to find somebody who's not an actual U.S. attorney and to make him a prosecutor. And so that is Merrick Garland, and we also have more from him. He was also responding to the shooter who tried to execute Trump, said in a wide-ranging interview, the Attorney General warned about the threat of political violence. Same DOJ who's prosecuting the J6ers like they're absolute murderers, monsters, insurrectionists, for a short riot that took place that was enabled by a failed government or an inciting government. So here is Merrick Garland on his interview with NBC.
You heard the acting Secret Service director say today that he was ashamed of the security failures that almost cost a former president his life. As the nation's top law enforcement officer, how do you feel about what happened?
Look, this attack on the former president was a heinous attack on former President Trump, but also a heinous attack on our democracy itself. This was a major security
J13,
failure.
yeah.
How alarmed are you that a 20-year-old was able to get a clear shot 150 yards from a former president?
So this is extremely alarming. That's why we have to find out what happened here, why it happened, and make sure it doesn't happen again.
In a hearing today, Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe grilled by lawmakers.
Stop interrupting me.
Go ahead,
You
Senator.
are refusing to answer clear and direct questions.
Demanding to know why no one has been fired yet.
We are investigating this. What
more do you need to investigate to know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
What I need to know is exactly what happened, and I need...
Rowe acknowledging the assassination attempt could have been prevented if his agency had deployed technology that would have revealed the gunman flew a drone overhead 2 hours before Mr. Trump spoke.
I feel as though we could have perhaps found him. We could have maybe stopped him.
The deputy FBI director revealing the discovery of a social media account linked to the gun against Mr.
Attempting to kill. Our intelligence community has made clear that we believe that the Iranians are attempting to kill or injure former high government officials. This is an ongoing issue. We have ongoing investigations.
You don't think we've seen the end?
I don't think we've seen the end of Iranian plotting, no.
Iranian plotting. Yeah, definitely not democratic lunacy that is behind any of this. So that's what's going on in Florida. Jack Smith is appealing it. Merrick Garland's crying about it. We'll be here continuing to cover all the updates in that case and more. And now, my friends, let's turn our attention to what happened here today
to schedule
in this wild scene. Donald Trump versus a journalist who tries to bait him into some racially charged conversation that might come back and bite him in the butt in the middle of this 2024 election season. A lot of people on the left are saying that's exactly what happened. I disagree. This was a very spicy interview from the former president from the moment he came out. Let's walk through it. You see, C-SPAN has for us all of these stars in this timeline because every one of these is like a little explosion. It was a lot of fun. I think Trump was authentic and real. And I think the crowd actually enjoyed it because he is not like every other politician who comes in here and placates to them and tells them what they want to hear. Let's go through this together starting now.
Q&A either in person or virtually in September. As journalists, we use opportunities like these both to inform our reporting, but also to help voters understand the choices that they face in a consequential and historic election year.
Yeah, doing an amazing job. Yeah, nice to see you, Mr. President. Now, Kamala Harris didn't show up.
Thank you.
Very nice to see you, Mr. President. Kamala Harris refused to show up. Trump came there.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner.
Yeah.
First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that.
Well,
and let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. No. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working, or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer
very
the question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why
I have answered the question. I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. I really do.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions.
Okay, so that is just Trump being Trump and bringing it right back to them. And I think he hit that home run hard. You could hear the crowd there, I think, was enjoying it as well. The question was loaded. She came out swinging, and there's this meme going around on X that, this was so bad, they had to pull him off the stage. And he diminished that right away. He says, no, you were late. You're the ones. I have 1 hour with you. I'm campaigning. I don't get to just be here at your leisure. So you delayed, and now I'm going to be done, right? But he still sat there for 37 minutes, even though they made him wait for 35 minutes or so while they figured it out.
Questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir,
of
I'm
that.
asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that, too, when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length. And we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that.
Well,
interview.
you told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we are divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr.
they're taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. And everybody's been seeing what's happened. The first group of people, the black population, is affected most by that, and Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but not the right part of the border. So she was a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country, and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs, and frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected by all of the millions of people that are pouring into our country. And one thing, as we discussed, many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails. They're gang members in other countries. Other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and their mental institutions, and they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members, and they're bringing them into the United States. And by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Mr. President, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same. It's not monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something
not what they think.
That bursts. And this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now. The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms, when you look statistically. Yeah. How do you turn it around? What's your plan for the black community when it comes to money? So, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment, because I guess, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. Brutal. But it's very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually. But so I don't know if they can fix it or do something with it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it, because of inflation. Inflation
is a disaster,
Hits
and it's
everybody.
destroying
All
our
colors,
country,
all
and it's
people.
destroying the black community probably as much or
So what do
more
you do?
than any.
What's your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was all started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls, and then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history.
Yeah, it's bad.
And his poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, you know, let's keep going, and maybe something happens the other way, they said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him.
Yeah, in the
That's
middle
like
of the
you're
game.
in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing where you say, let's bring in another fighter.
Totally.
So our whole campaign was steered toward him, and now we have to steer toward him. But ultimately it's the same, because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders, unbelievable open borders, horrible energy policies. They want to get rid of, as you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of efficient heating.
Mr. President.
Environmentally, what they're doing is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population within our country.
Yes.
Inflation is the worst it's been, I think, in over 100 years. And they'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58.
Yeah, right.
Whatever it may be, they don't add all the numbers. They don't add the really bad numbers, and you can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying this country and the people in our country. Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
President, can I ask you another question
Yes,
that is also impacting black Americans?
And that's very clear now. Good.
I'm sorry?
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay. So Sonia Massie, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff.
Terrible.
The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But again, why would...
They're going to be charging the officer. I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make those
Well, right now, for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine
you
an
go
innocent
after
mistake?
somebody, and it's a very close call, and it's very dangerous. And you know, they have the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing, because sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision, and sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So I want to follow up really quickly. I find it interesting because you do talk about reining in prosecutors, especially when it comes to prosecutors that are prosecuting you. Why doesn't that skepticism apply to law enforcement?
Well, I've been prosecuted because I'm a political opponent of two people that have weaponized our justice system. I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case. That was the most difficult case. And I just won it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except much worse I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't, because he wasn't president at the time. And he had 50 years worth of documents, and they ruled that he was incompetent, and therefore he shouldn't stand trial. And I said, isn't that something? He's incompetent and he can't stand trial, and yet he can be president. Isn't that nice?
Mr. President, I want to
Yeah, I don't think it's inconsistent at all. Okay, Trump is being politically prosecuted, just like cops are politically prosecuted. Okay, we saw what happened to Derek Chauvin in particular. George Floyd, who I don't want dead. I didn't want him to die that day, but, you know, he probably shouldn't have had methamphetamines and arteriosclerosis and hypertension and COVID and marijuana and fentanyl and all the other things in his blood, and then steal money, right? And then have, you know, you got to detain somebody. Like, these things happen. It's a tragedy through and through. But Derek Chauvin, I don't think, woke up wanting to murder the dude, right? And it, you know, what they did to him was a political prosecution. So Trump's political prosecution is much in the same vein. And Trump is not in this interview describing anything that is even new or novel or out of the ordinary at all. Cops already have qualified immunity, and it's in many cases like total immunity. So it's nothing new, and it's not inconsistent at all. And I think what Trump is describing is what he saw with that other shooting. That was not something that would be immune. You don't need to shoot a woman in the head because she has a pot of water. Okay, that guy was a murderer, obviously. So what we see here is Trump saying, you know, I don't even think rolling out anything new, just kind of saying we're just going to confirm the existing status quo.
Released him on the basis that he was incompetent. They said he had no memory, and he was a nice old guy, but he had no memory, and therefore we're not going to prosecute him. I won the case, and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it, George.
We covered you extensively, sir. I'd love to move over on to different topics.
I didn't notice you do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a political opponent. I have another one where
sir,
I have a hostile judge.
We have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different
no,
topics.
Excuse you, you're the one that held me up for 35 minutes, just so you understand.
If we can move on now to the state of the race, sir, I want to get back to the campaign. Senator J.D. Vance is your running mate. He's had a lot of controversy lately, and I want to read you a few things that he has said in the past. He said the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children. Did you know that he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running mate? And do you agree with him?
No, I know this. He is very family oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he thinks that if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people with great families. I know people with very troubled families. And I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right person.
But he's not just talking about families here.
And
he also
some
says
of those
that people that don't have children should get less votes than those that do.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Is that your
and I think
position?
I'm speaking for him too. He strongly believes in family, but I know people with great families. I know people with not great families that don't have a family. And the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay? He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation, you'll have to ask him, actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family-oriented. But that doesn't mean if you don't have a family, there's something wrong with it.
Just one last point, and then we'll move on. Just one of the bedrock principles of American life is one person, one vote. Senator J.D. Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children. I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, no, but it's not something I have ever heard before. I can tell you this. Right now you have illegal aliens coming into our country, many from prisons and many from mental institutions.
Look at
and
her
they want to give them
Oh, look at her face.
votes.
Oh.
I don't this. Right now you have illegal aliens coming into our country, many from prisons and many from mental institutions, and they want to give them votes. I don't think they should have votes. They came into our country illegally.
People
and
who
they're
are only
taking the
American
vote away
citizens
from
are
all
allowed
of the
to vote,
people
sir.
in this room.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay. We'll see about that. Are you going to say that there's no illegals voting in our next election? You want to put some money on that?
That have been here a long time, that have worked hard, that in many cases, and you'll see this happening, if I'm not elected, you're going to see it happening. If I am, you're not going to have any problem. But you're going to see it happening a long time. You're going to see the people in this room and people outside of this room are going to be losing their jobs to people that have come into this country illegally.
Mr. President, can we stay with just kind of the state of the race right now? Because I felt like that vice president question, candidate question was right in there with that. Yeah. So let's talk about J.D. Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate. I don't know if you're hearing what we hear as reporters, but it's been a tough couple of weeks for him.
Whatever.
Why did you choose J.D. Vance?
Why
did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time hearing, too. I know everybody out there can, but it's hard to hear.
I'll tell you why. I chose him because he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman, and especially the working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room. But you have many of those people, they were treated very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit. He's a very smart guy. Without the benefit of having a family that has contacts, like a father that was well-connected, he got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. I mean, you take a look at, his career. It's been an amazing career. He started off at a level with a difficult family situation, very difficult, with the mother and the father and everything else. He ends up going to Yale Law School and was one of the top students, became the head of the Law Journal. I mean, that's an amazing thing. He's a 4-year, he was in the military with great distinction for 4 years, got out, went into business, became successful in business, very successful in business, actually. Did public offerings and other things. And I have to believe in that. I mean, he's somebody that was born in a rough situation. Most of the people know that situation because it was very well documented in his book. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can get into Yale and become one of the best students in Yale, that meets a young woman at Yale who was also outstanding, and they get married, they have a beautiful family. But he had he's made himself an amazing life. He then goes to Ohio, lives in Ohio, and he had my endorsement. That helped. But he wins the Senate. He becomes a United States Senator. So he's a United States Senator. And so, Harris, like I respect you for your success, I respect people for their success.
The reason I asked the question is because the last time you and I sat and talked was the day that you were shot. We'd been together for much of that day. You left to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, and we didn't know what was next.
Yeah.
And 2 days after that...
I cannot understand. Your microphone
I know,
is so
it is...
All right, so, my friend, this interview continues on, and it just goes on, and you can see we got a lot of the spicy stuff out of the way here. And so, absolutely amazing. Now, a lot of people are parsing through this and trying to interpret it. We know that the left is going to say that this was a train wreck and Trump did terribly. I did not see that at all. In fact, I thought that the audience liked it and they were excited to hear about his solutions. And he was actually talking a lot about policy, a lot about how inflation is a disaster and how the border is a disaster and how the Democrats have been baiting and switching everybody in that room for a very long time. And we'll like to see Kamala go into that room. We'd like to see her take any question, even remotely 1/10 as serious or as aggressive as that opening question from anybody at any time, anywhere. She hasn't even done a press briefing or given a campaign speech. Nothing yet. So we're waiting for that to happen. We'll be here as we continue to cover it. Trump is out there getting after it, and we'll look forward to following along with him. Thanks for joining us as we do, my friends. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here on the next one. All right, my friends, now it's time to see what you have to say about all of this. We talked about some good stuff, some assassination updates, good reports from Chuck Grassley, Ron Johnson. We went through an entire briefing that was apparently sent around along with 2 local law enforcement. We also talked about updates in Trump's cases in New York, Trump's updates in cases in Florida, and of course, his meeting today with the Black journalists of America. So now, let's hear from you. Let's see what you say about all this. Of course, as soon as we're done here, we're going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party. And we'd love to have you come over there and join us. But until we go over there, let's see what you have to say about all this. Man, we got some great donos in the house. And I have to remember how to do all this because it's been a while. We've been on the road. But look who is here. We've got our friend CLDJ in the house who became a supporter. And thank you, Donut is clipping for us on the day. Judy Ward also became a supporter. Welcome aboard, Judy. We got B-Man is in the house. He says, on J13, the attack on American democracy, says Chuck Schumer was visiting Biden and CNN was broadcasting the event, which isn't normal. And they wanted something to happen, I think is what you're saying. Hey, Catania Nana. What's up, Catania Nana? Says, smash that like button, my friends. Thank you for saying that and for doing it if you're out there. Hey, what's up, T.A. Holloway over on Local? Says, hey, Rob, have you heard any specifics about the potentially explosive devices alleged to be in the shooter's possession? Were they bombs, C4, hand grenade shells, Mentos, and a 2-liter Coke? Not a lot of details about the chemical makeup, but I did read that he was ordering a bunch of stuff online from all over the place. And my understanding is they would have worked, like they were actually functional, except they were just flipped off. So I don't know if he just didn't turn them on, like literally like the switch was off. So yeah, I think they were functional. People were thinking maybe they were a diversion, but I don't know what the makeup was. But actually, I think that they were a real concern. Hey, T.A. Holloway. Thanks for that one, my man. James Butler says Merrick Garland is on a revenge campaign since he was blocked from becoming a SCOTUS judge. His mission is to go after Trump, and he won't stop. He's a real piece of work, that guy. Flagpole guy says, thank you to all who want to preserve America. That is a beautiful flag and a beautiful tractor in a beautiful place. Look at that. God bless America. Hey, Jennifer's here. What's up, Jennifer? Says, working and lurking here in the California heat wave. Have a great day, Rob, mods, and fellow watchers. Thank you, Jennifer. And it's hot everywhere, man. It's hot everywhere. It's like that weather guy from Jamaica. Pretty much everywhere, it's going to be hot. So that's where we're at. Thanks, Jennifer, for that. And what's up, Letty Maynard and Don Goff commenting over there? Hey, B-Man says, Gateway Pundit has a story that says the Butler snipers were at the ground level. So how could they ever be expected then to monitor the roof? They cannot. Flagpole guy says, you were born for such a time as this. 3rd generation farm, hashtag American excellence. Flagpole guy, good stuff. Box Lane Production says, a sloped roof walks into a bar. Barman says, why the facade? But thank you for that, Box Lane. Gloria B, what's up, Gloria B? Gifting a membo to Giovanna Alvino in the house. Giovanna Alvino coming in. Flagpole guy says, I post these pictures to remind us of what is truly important and to contrast the ugly that we must put up with daily. Faith over fear. God bless America. Good to see you, Flagpole guy. This one from Black Clover Digital, talking about recent footage from the victim, shows crooks walking and laying down. Yeah, we played that here today. Before being shot in the background. How did snipers not see? Well, it sounds like some may have been on the ground floor. Elevated, then the victim's video clearly shows crooks. Or they just wanted it to all happen. Yeah. Zone Girl says the water tower was totally left out of the site map. It's nowhere on any of the maps. You're right about that. We have not seen it at all. Why would that be? Is it too far? T.A. Holloway says, it's almost as if someone slipped a copy of the sector map to Crooks, and with whom was Crooks communicating while he was observing on his cell phone. Yeah, dude, they're not even covering this building. It's not even color coded. So just walk in there. Ranger is what my friend calls me, says, where is the dispatcher that monitored the radio traffic? And if there is a dispatcher, there is an event screen that backs all this up. Yeah, Willie says it's probably run by Hillary Clinton. Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, deleted. So local cops have some records. They have some logs, but the Secret Service wasn't recording anything. Isn't that fun? Biology always wins on locals. Says the Dems installed Harris. Should the Secret Service is correct and actually get Trump after he wins or worse before he's sworn in? What is the process? They install Never Nikki? Yeah, well, after the nomination, I think it's J.D. Vance would inherit that position and that money since they're part of the same campaign. But I mean, he's been nominated, so yeah. So I think it would be J.D. now. I was thinking the Democrats haven't had their nomination yet. Glocky says, little off topic, but Iran has just ordered military strikes against Israel. Massive protests against Israel and America breaking out in New York. Trump was supposed to be gotten. D.C. was ready to blame Iran to trigger a war. Now it looks like D.C. is the go-ahead to bomb the Hamas leader in Tehran to trigger a war. I pray for peace, but it looks like the Middle East is about to go full meltdown. Oh, and we bombed Iraqi base today, so there's also that too. Here's one from Glocky. When Kamala talks to this person, says, I'm Indian. She says, wow, you're so amazing. I have an Indian friend. I like that. Trump says she's Indian. They'll have a meltdown. Yeah, we know. Sheila the Pooh, 1,000,000 hugs to you. Look at this one. Bringing in 10 membos. Thank you, Sheila. Guess who's coming in? Frank Court is here. What's up? Frank Barron. Kim Court. We got no, you won't get none your CDs back. Oh, we got a little tiff in our chat. Save America Trump. Got a membo. Mike Cross, Jim Eagle, No More Me, Willie Lutheran, D. Marie, and Unknown Caller, all gifted membos, courtesy of Sheila Pooh in the house. Thank you, Sheila. Box Lane Productions says Jack Smith, bird flu, a global panic starting with an apparent lack of a bog roll, literally Biden. Someone's flexing on us. One old guy's opinions. Very nice, Dono. Thank you, one old guy. Says, this is my favorite room, and I am very partisan hack that can't give two craps about the Constitution. I am the law, just like Fauci is the science, sings Judy Garland. I, Mary Mayorkas, and the rest of the deep state allowed the offing. Man, that is, I don't know, that's like poetic almost. I am the law, just like Fauci is the science, sings Judy Garland. Yeah, and the deep state, I think, would have been very happy if Trump was dead. I think we were even saying that about the raid. Why did they raid his residence with plainclothes officers with guns? Glocky says, and thank you for the very nice dono, one old guys. Very generous of you. Thank you for that. Glocky McGlock says, Garland was involved in Waco, the OKC kaboom. Why is it under Democrat administrations and Democrat AGs you get war crimes against American citizens like Ruby Ridge, Waco? There was even the famous photo from the Clinton administration where the FBI raided that Cuban kid's home. Yeah. Gonzalez, right? Something. Back to Cuba, the FBI's all black has MP5 pointed at the kid's face. Yeah, nice people over there. Voice of the People says New York is primed to flip. Will Illinois flip too? Voice says, what is a DEI hire? The woman just asked the first question to make gotcha moment for the racial narrative. What is a black job? I don't know, the woman in the pink dress? Oh, I see. What is a DEI hire? Trump could have said, I don't know, you? Maybe? I don't know. Somebody who would ask a stupid question like that? I mean, how'd you get here? The woman that asked for the first question, that's a DEI hire. What is a black job? Oh, the woman in the pink dress. Funny from Voice. Good comment. DKK says, hail Bobby G. Well, I don't know about that, but says, glad you're home and doing swell. What's with the camo and the hidden counter sniper nests? Kind of counterintuitive, eh? You know, like they want to show a force. Love from Denmark. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to like mistake it. You're like, I don't know. What's that? I don't know. Is there something in that window? I thought it might be a sniper, but on second thought, it just looks like it's a bush or something. Looks like someone was hanging some laundry over something. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really know what they were doing. I don't think they know what they were doing. So it's a good observation, though. DKK, what's up? Grip Van Wrinkled says, could Kamala ever survive a similar GOP panel? No, she wouldn't even show up. Probably because Faulkner was on there. One old guy's opinion says, I don't need someone to break down the situation. I could have asked the woman with the boiling water if I could turn off the stove while she was staying seated in the living room. Yeah, that was very bad. What's up? Nitty Linny says, the thing with Trump is that he speaks in paragraphs with a few twists and turns. People expect politicians to speak in bullet points. If you're not smart enough to listen for understanding, you won't get Trump's point. Nitty Lenny. Great comment. I think you're right about that. Trump also has a little stream of consciousness going on. It's authentic. It's real. It's not talking point garbage. And I think it's something that people identify with, and even people in that room. Original Easy says, I think the photo poster the Secret Service showed out the window of the second story was disingenuous. Snipers don't hang out the window with their guns, but whoever took the photo hung out the window with their camera. From Original Easy over on Locals. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to see like about a million more photos or video. Like, just take a video. Show us what they saw. Poke your head out the window. What can you see? Cuckoo's Cam says, inflation is so bad, Wells Fargo just closed their only ATM branch in Borgo Springs. It's too expensive to provide services to a small town. Coming soon to a town near you. And One Old Guy's Opinions says the cops used poor judgment. They should have asked to turn the stove off. If the concern was being attacked in the apartment, they would have left her on her couch in the living room. Facts used in the cops' trial. I think he's been charged, and yeah, he's probably going to get convicted for that, as he should. You don't just get to shoot people. No. Cliff Norman says, Rob, it is hard to believe that a 20-year-old who failed to get on his high school shooting team, was jogging on the sloped roof, gets off a professional kill sniper shot in less than 3 minutes. Also a great point. Up there with Oswald getting 3 well-aimed shots at an outdated Italian rifle from a 6-story building on a moving target. I fail bovine scatology. Something. What's up, Cliff? It's a great point, right? If it was so tight, the other thesis that we thought of was there's 2 shooters, but only actually one who did the shooting. So maybe there was somebody behind the shooter who shot in the same line of sight, and Crux was just the patsy who got taken out. And yeah, and it was just a miracle. MI, what's up, MI? Thanks for this nice dono. No comment on it, but thanks for supporting us here on the day. Sheila Poo, 1,000,000 hugs to you. 10 more membos coming in. Stanford H, what's up? Thanks, Sheila, for bringing them in. Clyde B, Stephanie P, Dr. Voodoo, Newbie. We got Sheep Herd, Chinny Win. We got Mike B, Hucklebear, and Hello Kidden in the house, courtesy of Sheila Poo, bringing in new membos. And we are grateful for all of the newest of membos. And thank you, my friends, for sending those in. Donut, John McGarvey, thank you guys for clipping for us on the day. Been amazing to see everybody. We've also got, of course, our friends on X. Let's say hello to our friends on X before we wrap it up and go on over to Locals. Good to see you, Eric with the K. What's up, MI in the house with a very nice dono that just came in. Let's see who is on X in the house. You can follow us over there at Rob Govea ESQ. We also post our content over there. James Pepper's in the house. Declare your ballots. It says, are you going to cover the Tina Peters trial? I don't know much about the case, but I've had several of you mention it, so maybe we will. George says, something I don't quite understand. If he rode a bike, how did he park in the parking lot? Why did he drive a van that was located less than a quarter mile away? Good questions. Bridget's in the house. Anybody fired yet? Nope. And Silicon Valley Reject over there on X as well. But, my friend, so that is going to be it for us on the day. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party. We'd love it if you joined us over there. We also go live in the mornings for our membos. And so if you joined us on YouTube, if you became a new YouTube member, check out this morning's stream. We talked about a bunch of other stuff that we can't get to here, and we'd love to have you as a member. We appreciate our membos. But, my friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. I want to say thank you to the mods that mod the fort down for us. I saw Donut mind me clipping for us today. We had John McGarvey clipping for us, playing hooky, modding the fort down. I think I might have seen Zulu in there this morning. But it's great to see everybody. And so we'll leave it there. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party. We'd love to see you there, but if we don't, well, we are going to be back here tomorrow to get into it again. But in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.